This episode is brought to you by the Marine Corps Association and Foundation. The Marine Corps wants Marines at all levels to be able to make sound and timely decisions, and Marines can hone their decision making capabilities by being put into situations that require them to think critically. One way that the Marine Corps Association supports this is by providing decision forcing cases. A decision forcing case is a decision making exercise that places participants in the roles of historical protagonists who, at some time in the past, faced a particularly challenging problem. In that role, participants are asked to devise, deliver, defend, refine, and critique solutions to the scenario as the scenario moves forward in time, creating new problems and opportunities. DFCs allow Marines to develop vicarious experience, develop decision making skills under pressure, and foster critical thinking and creative problem solving. This is one of the many ways MCA supports Marines through an adult learning methodology. Learn more about our programs and support to Marines at mca-marines.org/professional-development. That's mca-marines.org/professional-development. Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, this is episode 183. This week, we welcome Lieutenant Colonel Nick Gregson and Kelsie Meade to the show. Lieutenant Colonel Gregson is the director of the Marine Corps Center for Learning and Faculty Development at TCOM, and Kelsie is the high-intensity tactical training coordinator for Marine Corps Base Quantico. They're here to talk to us about the Training and Education Command's Fittest Instructor Competition. The Fittest Instructor Competition is a multi-day, multi-disciplined, multi-event competition for instructors across the Marine Corps that challenges participants both mentally and physically. Both Lieutenant Colonel Gregson and Kelsie talked to us about how they came to be a part of the competition, where the genesis of the competition came from, and their plans to expand it. It was great talking to them about this really innovative way to focus on the health of the force and increase readiness. And as we are all woefully behind in our standard New Year's resolutions to focus on health and be more fit, hopefully this conversation is not only informative, but helps us get off our asses. Here is episode 183. Hey, Scuttlebutt listeners, thanks for joining us again. I am Vic. I'm here with Nancy.
Hey, everyone. Hey, Vic.
And we are really excited to be welcoming Lieutenant Colonel Nick Gregson and Kelsie Meade to the show. How you guys doing?
Good. It's freezing.
It's not warm this morning.
It's a
No.
little too cold for Virginia, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got these like civilian version of combat boots, and I still almost broke my ass. Like
you
3
look very
times,
sporty and outdoorsy.
Yeah, I was gonna go with the Chuck Taylors as my
No.
standard, but that is
No.
yeah, that's a failure.
This is sporty Vic today. I like it.
Yes. Hiker thing. So, Lieutenant Colonel Nick Gregson is the director of Marine Corps Center for Learning and Faculty Development, formerly known as the Train the Trainer School, which falls under TCOM. And Kelsie is the HIT coordinator for Quantico. She's been a tactical strength and conditioning coach for about 10 years. And prior to that was a collegiate strength coach for a couple of D1 universities. So awesome. And this is a timely, we're recording this in mid-January. So everyone hopefully is fully immersed in their New Year resolutions, which generally entails a sort of fitnessy thing that dies within 30 days or
Totally.
3 months,
Yeah.
90 days is about the thing. But since we're well into it, we're going to talk some fitness stuff. But we're going to talk what TCOM's interest in fitness, and Kelsie, sort of what your role in Quantico, being that this is the crossroads and you've got multiple sort of interested parties involved. In the pre-show, we were talking about your work with the shooting team, which we had on a few months back, and didn't realize that, yeah, conditioning and strength is probably a good thing when you're running around shooting stuff. So,
And we're also going to focus on the Fittest Instructor Competition.
yes, which is really
very
cool. Yeah, usually, from my limited experience, it's the guys with the red shirts who yell at you to do stuff. There's HIT coordinators that say that you're doing it wrong, and then you, there's PFTs and CFTs, and then you forget all about it for a while. So, anyhow, Lieutenant Colonel Gregson, sir, can you sort of talk about not only how you came to TCOM, but like what was your path to the Yellow Footprints? Like, where are you from? What was did you know you're going to be a Marine? Like, was it in the DNA, or was it one of those, like, I could be a substitute history teacher, or like, how did you sort of come to this?
So oddly, it is in the DNA. I was quite literally born in the Naval Hospital in Camp Pendleton.
Oh, nice.
March 20th, 1983. So the old Naval Hospital that's now...
The one over by, was it a Lake O'Neill?
Lake,
yeah.
I don't even know what it is anymore.
Yeah.
My dad was a career Marine, and I think like a lot of Marine brats who grow up in the Marine Corps and around a lot of the families, you're very aware of the Marine Corps, you're very aware of military service, and there is, I think there's a very large dichotomy between military brats that grow up living on base and military brats that grow up living off base. And my dad, for 2 different 6-year tours, he was stationed at the Pentagon or in the NCR area, so 12 years. We lived off base, and when you live off base, you're aware of other Marine brats and everything else, but your neighbors probably aren't in it, and so you see very much a different side of the Marine Corps.
So are you in Northern Virginia?
Oh yeah, I grew up in Northern Virginia and went to Woodbridge Middle School, went to Garfield High School up
nice.
until my senior year. Go Indians. Actually, they're the Red Wolves now. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they're the Red Wolves. Grew up playing, lacrosse in the Northern Virginia DMV area. Our senior year, we moved to Okinawa, Japan. Good Marine family. We got reassigned. So between my junior and senior year, we went to Okinawa, and I saw a very different side of being a Marine brat, living on base.
Yeah, you're a DOD school.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
DOD in Okinawa was. I only lived there as a dependent, but just what a wild place. And I mean, we would scuba dive every weekend, and that was fantastic. But you start to see a lot more of the family sense of that. But went off to college to play lacrosse. Really great liberal arts, Eastern Pennsylvania School, Westchester University, home of the Golden Rams. Go Rams. Was playing lacrosse, was in the middle of fall ball, and then a very cool, crisp September morning, the entire world changed. And without really knowing it, it was a shocking change. I went from wanting almost nothing to do with the Marine Corps in my own adult life to I couldn't join fast enough. And so talking to my dad.
So you'd have been, what, 18?
I was a freshman. It was freshman morning.
And you said Eastern Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, 9/11 was extremely...
It was a little up the
visceral.
Road. Yeah, nah, it was... And I mean, I remember it was really hilarious. It was... not hilarious. It's funny enough to remember... one of our friends from down the hall was walking back from class, and he was like, "Hey, did you guys see the news?" And we were like, "No, what happened?" We were like, "A plane flew into the World Trade Center." And this is, or this is 2001. There've been Cessnas that have flown into it and things.
Fucking A, man. We talked about this a few times. It's fucking crazy.
All of us kind of looked at it and we're just like, what a dumbass pilot.
Yeah.
And we all just kind of went back to doing what we were doing that morning, which at that time we were playing Mario Kart 64.
Nintendo 64.
The single greatest gaming system ever. And then the second one hit. And then it was really weird. Well, all of my friends were just like, wow, what is the weirdest coincidence ever? My brain went a different direction, and I suddenly was just like, wait a minute. And so my parents were still in Okinawa, and so I called, and there was no answer at the house, and I was just like, not a chance. And so I was like, on a lark, let's see what happens. So I called my dad's office number, and he answered. And I was just like, what are you doing at the office? And he's like, were you watching the news? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, is this what I think it is? And he was like, yep. And so he's like, I gotta go. And I was like, yeah, okay, see ya.
What was your dad's MOS?
He was an infantryman.
Okay, yeah.
So so at that time and I was just like, okay. And then I think my 10 o'clock class was American Civics. And so
Wow.
went to that class, and I have no memory of really the rest of the day. It was just kind of a whirlwind. Called my dad later that day, and I was just like, I'm joining. I'm not skipping this fight. And my dad was, I think like most parents and everything else. And I mean, he was a Vietnam veteran and everything, so he was adamant and had to remind me again and again and again, like, this war is not going anywhere. Like, stay in college, go to OCS. Like, if you're going to be a part of this war, like, lead a part of this war. And it was acid in my veins, like just sitting around and waiting and watching the invasion on nightly news, primetime television. It was just, I remember it being very, very hard to wait.
But you did wait.
I did, yeah.
And then what came next?
OCS, the basic school, became an artillery officer as a lieutenant at that time. So it's now 2005,
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9. You deployed, and so the first unit I joined, Charlie 110, we were set to deploy to Okinawa. The unit before us that went to Okinawa got recalled and didn't go to Okinawa and went to Iraq. So the writing was on the wall. We were going to go to Iraq there. Did the platoon commander thing. Had probably the greatest crew of NCOs and a platoon sergeant that any lieutenant could ever be blessed with. So now Master Guns Hack, Chief Warrant Officer Breeding, Sergeant Smith, and Gunny White really taught me everything that, amazing. Our battery gunny is a Master Gunny Locke. Just an incredible crew. Absolutely showed me the ropes. Came home from that deployment.
What year was this?
2006, 7.
Okay.
7, 8. It was 7, 8.
Oh, no kidding. Where were you? Are you at Al Assad?
Yeah, our platoon our platoon and company were based at Al Assad Battery. We were running provisional security. Really just a lot of guys, a lot of trucks, a lot of guns.
Yeah, I was out of Abu Hayat.
Okay.
7
yeah.
and 8, yeah.
So 7 and 8, we were doing that. 9, it was a 6-month turnaround to include the workup. I was in Habaniya as a police transition team, OIC. And in 2009 was the start of the provincial Iraqi control, which meant no more unpartnered military forces outside the wire. And I remember that day vividly. I mean, there was just giant sucking sound of all your buddies being pulled back on base, and suddenly me, my 9 Marines and 1 Navy corpsman were just looking around. We're like, where'd everybody go? I'm suddenly very afraid of what's happening here. Got back, pinned on captain, checked into 26 Mu under Colonel Mark Desens at the time, and for the longest time that one was known as the Mu in a lot of circles. We deployed early to Pakistan flood relief. We the BLT reinforced under Lieutenant Colonel Farrell Sullivan, now Major General Sullivan, went into Afghanistan, so I went with them there. We did strike missions in Libya, a trap mission. So there's 2 Air Force pilots. One of them was picked up by 26 Mu. If we had reinforced an embassy on the way home, that would have...
You would have bingo. You would have got the bingo card, yeah.
Exact box for missions. Deployed early, got extended twice. Very quick move here to EWS, back to Lejeune, back to 10th Marines. Deployed again under Colonel Dan Sullivan with RCT-2. Got back, started my slow migration out west. I went and taught at the Marine Detachment at Fort Sill. Taught Captain's Career Course for about 18 months. A couple of the jobs include OPSO after that. Went to the greatest year of your life is the tagline, Commanding General Staff College at Fort Leavenworth. Shout out to Kansas City. If you like food, Kansas City is Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas, both of them. Absolutely some of the greatest places to eat in the world. They have mastered barbecue to the point of where they now master everybody else's barbecue. So the best North Carolina barbecue, the best Texas barbecue, all of it that I've ever had was in Kansas City, and they're really arrogant about it as well.
Yeah,
Nice.
I've heard.
I was at a restaurant and I was like, "Hey, how's your Carolina barbecue?" And the woman, the waitress knew enough. She was like, "It's coastal Carolina barbecue," and I was like, "Right, the vinegar, the coleslaw." She's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "So as?" And she's like, "The best you've ever had." And I was like, "I lived in coastal Carolina for like 12 years. Like that's a really bold statement." And she's like, "If it isn't, it's free." Yeah, I paid.
Hey.
Nice.
I paid. They're arrogant about it.
For a reason, though.
What to say? Is it arrogant if it's true?
It's not. Went out to 11th Marines as a major, 1st Battalion 11th Marines under Kenny Del Mazo and Matt Ritchie. 3 really great years professionally out there, and talking about food. I mean, you can't miss with Oceanside, California.
Yes.
Taco game, just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Kalima's alone
Just
puts it on the map.
right?
Yeah.
It's just you can't miss with the tacos. And after that, moved back here. Really wanted a stable place for my kids. I had a rising junior in high school, a rising freshman, and a rising 8th grader when I moved back. So I really wanted to be able to give the kids 2 out of 3 of them at least one high school to go to for the time. And so we moved out here. Bought a house for the first time. Terrible market.
Yeah.
Been renovating it ever since.
Got stuff to do.
Having served at Training Command before, this was Training Command headquarters was a gig that I asked for when I moved. And Training Command is one of those especially Training Command headquarters or any of the 1706 level schools. You quite literally see every single Marine that joins the Marine Corps. They come through the recruiter, they come through boot camp, and then when they graduate boot camp, that's where Training Command takes over, and we teach Marine Corps combat training in every single entry level MOS and some advanced MOSs in the Marine Corps. So you literally see every single PFC and lieutenant that joins the Marine Corps. So you have that on your left hand, and then on your right hand, you have a general officer. So the quick turn changes that can be made for the better. You can really make a difference if you're willing to roll up your sleeves, and especially at the headquarters level. Do a lot of not sexy work, like a learning analysis for mortarmen, learning analysis for
You can speak
basic
PowerPoint.
systems technicians, and our schoolhouse experts are doing really great work, and so it's that really great balance of helping them out, providing where you can, but also staying out of their way.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody wants to be that guy from higher headquarters who's here to help. So you just let a lot of the experts down at the schools.
Well, you also get to see behind the curtain a little bit because you guys have to interact with CD&I, and you have to interact with Marcorps Syscom, because obviously as we're developing emerging tech, we've got to find a way that it can integrate what would be the training, what would be the ISTs for these things.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And luckily enough, we have a really good crew that we work really well with up at TECOM, and unless you're inside Training Command, I don't think anyone else actually pronounces the E. Training Command personnel really pronounce the E to make sure that there's Training Command and then there's TECOM. They do a lot of the heavy lift with that, and then and we all kind of work together. So it's one of those commands that I never thought the cubicle end of Training Command would be one of those really rewarding duty stations where nothing happens fast. Everything is a ground fight.
Yeah.
But then when you see things that have changed and that have really worked well, you can sit back and be like, man, we're really making a difference. I mean, if you look at the relatively new infantry Marine Corps, and just the ways that the schools of infantry are now able to train the infantrymen of the future, parallel that with a lot of the changes at infantry officer course, and truly are making more Marines lethal and prepared for the next battle, which is, as relatively old Marine, you can be proud of that, and you can make sure that that the next generation is going to be taken care of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Kelsie, how about you? What's sort of your story to Quantico?
Well, it's going to be hard to follow that story.
Welcome.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do it. One more rep.
So one more rep, yeah. So I've been here since January of 2020. I was working with the Navy before that, and before that I was working with the Marine Corps. So I've been in the tactical strength conditioning world for about 10 years. But prior to that, I was working with Division I athletics. So when I was in school, getting my undergrad, I needed to do an internship at the end, my last semester. So I had to reach out to a bunch of people. I ended up working with Mike Boyle, who in the strength conditioning world is like one of the top guys. He's worked with the Red Sox. He's worked with USA Hockey. That's what he's known for, I think, the most. But I worked with him for a semester for my internship. And that really sold me on the fact that strength conditioning can be a job, because I was in school long enough ago that it wasn't its own major really then. It wasn't a well-known job.
It was
job. It wasn't a
anatomy,
well-known career.
physiology was what most people would go into, right?
Yeah, well, they would go into like phys ed or like
kinesiology.
yeah,
or something
kinesiology
like that.
or and even with that, you would do more teaching most likely than coaching. Like strength and conditioning wasn't a job that I think a lot of people knew about. Like you knew that a professional sports team has a strength coach, right? Like every football team, every hockey team, baseball, whatever. But like, how is that job? That job's just kind of like there. Is there a road to that job? Like, so yeah, and so I didn't really realize that that was like an actual career path that you could follow. Because my major for a while was athletic training, which is a completely different major, which people also don't realize. They think that I'm an athletic trainer, but that's completely different from what I do. So I had that internship, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like, I can literally go work in a college, but I need my master's degree, and I needed a graduate assistantship. So I started interning at a local university back in New Hampshire. I was at the University of New Hampshire. And I was basically working for free, and then I worked like 2 or 3 other jobs on top of that.
Oh, that's fun.
And I was I was coaching. I was waiting tables. I was working retail. Like I literally had like 3 jobs. And my friend was like, "Hey, if you want to work in college, you have to get a master's degree. You have to have a graduate assistantship." So he was at Boston University at the time. So he's like, "Let me put in a good word for you. You have to apply and interview." And I ended up getting that position, luckily. And so for 2 years, I worked as a strength coach while going to grad school for Boston University. And I traveled with men's crew and swimming and diving. And I worked very, very closely with all their coaches and their athletic trainers. And that was amazing. That was like, this is actually a career, right? After that, when I graduated, I went back to the University of New Hampshire, and I worked there for a couple years. But I wasn't sure if maybe college was what I wanted to do, because those jobs are so hard to get. And that's when I realized that the tactical world had strength coaches, and they were really changing their direction in terms of fitness.
What was that realization like? Did you go to a seminar where it was being presented, or you run into someone who was doing that? Like, how did...
Yeah.
Because it seems like the standard path would be, you do college and then you do pro, or right. And so, what turned you on to this idea of tactical strength and conditioning?
Part of it was that you realize how small of a career field collegiate strength conditioning is, for one. Teaching hundreds of thousands of jobs, right? But a college has 5 strength coaches,
mm-hmm.
At the most. They might have 7. A small school might only have 2 or 3,
right?
and there's not a lot. Unless you're at the really big schools, there's not going to be a lot of turnover. And if you are at those schools, then you might only work there for a year, and then you're looking for a job again.
Wow.
So if there's only 3 strength coaches, and nobody ever leaves, how do you get a job, right? So couple that with the fact that I was working this one faculty program at UNH. It was like a strength conditioning class for faculty. and we had a lot of the Air Force ROTC staff come and work with us. And I was like, how could I start a program with them? That would be so cool. I would love to do that. That didn't really pan out, but that let me realize that I could look on USA Jobs, and
Wow.
and I could look
Okay.
for government
awesome.
positions as a strength coach.
Yeah, I mean, how sort of opportunistic that you started with the Air Force.
My dad was in the Air Force,
Oh,
and he did ROTC at UNH actually.
okay. I was actually gonna make a joke about it.
I
Like,
saw where you were
conditioning, yeah,
going.
yeah,
I saw where you
like,
were going.
I mean,
She knew.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't know.
outside of Peloton, like, what else do you need?
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
yeah. You knew there were going to be jokes about it.
All right.
You even
That's
said-
enough.
You even said earlier,
I
I'm opening
did.
himself up for a joke. He flew B-52s, by the way. My dad. That's like
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pretty-
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there.
That is awesome. Yeah.
talk about something that is relevant still to this
Yeah,
day.
for a very long time, B-52s have been relevant. So
But
I mean, you got to
regardless
lift
of
the
that-
bombs up into the thing, right? So it's like,
Yeah, why don't I work with them? That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
No, I'm sorry. So, all kidding aside, so
A little heavy.
I mean, big
Little bit.
shout out to USA Jobs then.
I mean, yeah, it was one of those things where you don't think that there's jobs like that, and then just by happenstance you realize that is something. And when I got into when I first started working with the military, it was for the Marine Corps at Cherry Point. So I moved from New Hampshire to North Carolina. I did my interview was on the phone. Like, I didn't know a soul. I packed up my car with everything it would hold,
That's
and
cool.
I moved by myself to North Carolina, to New Bern, North Carolina. That's where I was living. And
It's a nice place.
it's beautiful. It's in the middle of nowhere, but it's beautiful.
it is very pretty there. It really is.
But yeah, I didn't know a soul, and I'm really lucky that I started there, I think, because one of the other coaches that was hired right around the same time as me had a very similar background and upbringing as me. And so her and I have been able to see, as well as many others too, spread out across the Marine Corps, but we've been able to see the change in the fact that it's a lot of the background of the fitness in the Marine Corps has been, people who had a background in exercise, group X classes, like they worked at Gold's Gym, or they worked at, the YMCA or something like that, right? And they didn't have a human performance background. They
Mhm.
didn't have the background with athletics. And the Marine Corps has really been trying to move into this different direction. And that's where jobs like mine and my friends' coaches and stuff, that's where we come in and we can kind of
Yeah.
give a different insight than a lot of the people who were kind of shoved into those positions because the Marines were wanting something fitness related.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was, I'm a bit of a dinosaur, but I saw that same evolution where it was just like someone who would sort of walk around the fitness centers, making sure that people weren't hurting themselves doing,
I still had
power
to do
cleans.
that.
Or like, hey, your squats are all fucked up or whatever, to then like these actual like focused, hit centers where units were coming in. It was like part of their TEEP
Mhm.
to get it. And you could also, I mean, I'm not sure, if it's a chicken or an egg, and maybe you could sort of shed some light on this, but I think a lot of it, especially for us, I'm an Amtracker, but we did straight leg infantry missions forever once they decided that driving armored vehicles through the middle of the cities was not a good look as we're trying to transition. And so in order to do the preventative maintenance on a lot of the injuries that the Marines would get from like carrying 60 to 80 pounds of gear, we would have to start doing HIT stuff because it was no longer this cosmetic
Mhm.
thing. Like, I just want to look at the part.
Yeah.
It's like I have to be able to perform. And if I'm just doing the standard bench, squat, arm, curls for the girls sort of thing, suns out, guns out, it's not gonna work.
Right.
At least for your mission's sake.
Correct,
Of course,
yeah.
yeah. So, and could you talk about a little more about how that evolved, like what that evolution was like for you? I mean, we saw it a little bit, but it was, again, getting it on the tee, reserving it, but you could see that the people that were involved were much more specialized.
Yeah, and I think I think it's the specialized part that makes the difference, right? It's not like the Marines were sold on it, and many of them still aren't. I mean, a lot of people don't know what I do here at Quantico. And they think that the HIT program is just like interval training, right? They think it's like just fast paced. They're going to go puke outside or something like that. And I don't
That
make
sounds
anybody,
fun.
I don't make anybody throw up. Like that's a goal of mine. Like I'm not trying to make you throw up, right? Because everything is very periodized and everything's very planned out dependent on what the group that I'm working with needs. And so again, it's not like the Marines were sold on it. I still had at Cherry Point, I had to walk around and like correct form and stuff. And that didn't last very long because the Marines don't love it when you do that.
That's weird. That's so weird. I've found that they take to instruction so quickly.
Yeah, it seems really off-brand.
Yeah.
Right, I know. Me walking up correcting their deadlift, yeah, they didn't love it. But they needed it.
Yeah. Like I can
cases,
see your vertebrae separating. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely I can't say that like I've been able to witness it from the Marines' perspective, right? But from my own perspective, I know that the people that I work with are getting a very different kind of coaching and a very different kind of programming than other Marines. And I know that the Marines my friends coach who have that same background as me, like I know that we're all kind of on that same page. So we have that as much of a united front as we can in terms of helping to change minds, and let the Marines know that it's not just the curls for the girls and the completely aesthetic. I'm not saying don't do them.
I was going to say, there's a
I
lot
would
of
never tell.
negativity around curls.
I would never. He said it first, not me. Do your
You're
curls,
on team
okay?
curl.
I mean,
Run the rack if you'd like.
season is coming.
I mean, when it's hammer time, it's hammer time, man. Like
sleeves up season is still a thing
I
in the
let
Marine
my
Corps.
Marines do curls. I program stuff like that, okay? But there's a difference between what you see in the regular facilities when Marines are working out on their own, and they are doing very bodybuilding style.
Yeah.
And again, nothing wrong with that. But from a performance standpoint, depending on what you need to do, that might not be the best option for you. And for the people that I work with, I have to look at what are they doing, what's their job, how can I help them be stronger, how can I help them be faster, because that's what my job is.
Imagine if everyone, civilian, military, if everyone looked at training and exercise that way with that mindset. Like,
Dream.
Wow, how can this help me,
be better in my day, in life.
Yeah.
Feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so was this a passion project that turned into a career? So like you mentioned, being at these universities and sort of falling under, having these people sort of take you under their wing. When you were, when young Kelsie was coming up through high school, like were you really active in sports? And so it was a trajectory you wanted to, like you like very intentionally went to, or was it just something that like, hey, I really like working out, and then I'm going to study this a little more, and then I get into nutrition, and then, next thing I know, like I'm sort of a subject matter. Like what was the evolution like for you early?
So I did play sports growing up. I did soccer, martial arts for like 13 years, and I was also a cheerleader. And I played tennis as well, but I got hurt one year.
Got stuff to
cheerleading,
do. Yeah.
And the athletic trainer ran over, so I was a base, and so the flyer fell, and I caught her really weird on like my head, and so I couldn't move. Like the athletic trainer, I didn't even know what athletic training was at this time, right? And he ran over, and he's like, "Don't move. We're gonna put you on a board." We called the ambulance. Blah 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 blah. And I was like, "This is this guy's job to like help people like when they're immediately hurt, like athletes, like that's really cool." And like that was the first kind of light bulb for me. And so I started my undergrad as an athletic training major. So I was taping ankles and doing all that sort of thing. but I was like, I really like the gym more. I don't know if I want to like just tape people's feet all the time.
Yeah, just pouring ice in the
right?
whirlpool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't. And so I ended up switching majors to exercise, sport, and health education because at this point I was at Radford University.
That's where both my kids went.
I loved that. That was a great
My
school.
oldest
The
two went
Ishi
there.
program was really, really good.
Cool.
So that's where I was when I did my internship. I had to go back up to New England for my internship.
Got it. Okay.
So when I switched majors, that's when I realized like I actually had a class on strength conditioning because I was an athlete, but I never was good enough to play sports in college, right? And I was like, how could I still be involved in this world? So that's what made me think athletic training would be it, right? And then I realized I liked the gym more, and I realized that I could actually have classes on strength conditioning, and this was a career, and I saw the internship, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like really something that I can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty organic in that aspect, yeah.
Well, that's cool. And then before we talk sort of the linkages here between, you know, TCOM and this, you know, what we'd mentioned about this sort of this very focused mindset on what fitness does to enhance readiness. I guess just where's sort of that hybrid? So, you know, we sort of joked about New Year's resolutions and how cliche those sorts of things are. But at the same time, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. So I find it fascinating that you were able to enter into this world where, I mean, it has, you know, at the risk of being hyperbolic, but it has national security implications because if every Marine shows up on a deployment either unfit or not properly, you know, their fitness level is focused in a different area, and you're taking a bunch of non-battle injuries and stuff, and your readiness is degraded because I've got a 200-man, you know, company, but at the same time, you know, 15 of them are in sick bay because they keep dropping weights on their feet or, you know, whatever it is. Like, did you? I know you'd mentioned USA Jobs, but I mean, as you were coming in then and sort of taking in, I guess, the civilian aspect of it, which is specialized towards that aesthetic more, like where were you able to find that synergy and then really, you know, carve a niche for yourself?
So I think generally people would look at what I do and think it's completely different from what I did in collegiate athletics, but it's not. At least it isn't in my head, because I look at the sports teams that I worked with at UNH and at BU, and I had to look at their season and when their games or their matches or their races were, when their nationals are they actually going to nationals? When can I peak them? When's their off season? And so I'm looking at all these different parameters to write programming that is supposed to make them stronger and faster. And that's exactly what I need to do for the Marines. So I'm not looking at class schedules and you know, competitions, but I am looking at what the Marine does for their job.
Right.
And I program in the same fashion. It's just as important, right? More important.
Yeah.
Sure.
Arguably.
Yeah. So do you plug in then with units like, all right, here's your TEEP, you know, your sort of
Ideally,
your 18 months.
that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen right now. That's
Okay.
like the goal. That is what we would love to do. And there are coaches in positions like mine who do that. They're probably few and far between, and also dependent on where they are. So like that's easier to do at some place like Lejeune, right?
Right.
Or if you're contracted with a specific unit, then it's easier to do that for them. I have friends who work for the Army as well as strength coaches, and they are with, you know, spec ops. Like it's easy for them to be like, their job is literally to make sure. So they're able to do that. Yes, I don't have that ability, or at least haven't been given that ability here. It hasn't become something that I can make happen, but ideally that's what we are looking for as strength coaches for, you know, in the Marine Corps and the military.
Okay. And LtCol Gregson, so you like where did you start to see, or like where is TCOM coming into sort of this like really embracing this I guess this idea like specialization and focus on. I mean, for me coming up, the CFT was sort of a game changer, right? Like,
Yeah.
it was more. No longer could you just sort of cram for the exam and just run a bunch and then make sure you get at least 10 pull-ups or
I mean,
whatever.
remember when you could take 2 PFTs in a week? You
Yeah.
take one on a Monday and a Friday.
That's right. If you were right at the end, if you're right at the end of the, and then right,
beginning of July,
and then you wouldn't touch the shit
right,
again for
right
another
before the
year. Yeah.
96.
I would argue people still do that, by the way. You still have
I mean,
people
it's not
cramming
an
for the
awful
PFT, and you
technique.
still have people cramming for the CFT.
Fantastic.
And truthfully, it isn't because they don't translate.
Yeah.
You know? So if you're going to, it's not something that I broadcast, like you should not be cramming for the PFT and the CFT, and I don't tell my Marines that they should. But it's definitely something that still happens.
Yeah. Well, but I think from a mentality, though, I think the Marine Corps started to look at more started to align with functional fitness, because the PFT is great as a sort of a grading standard for overall.
Yeah,
There
it's
has
overall
to be
health.
some.
Right,
there has to
but
be
at
some
the same
grading.
time, like the ammo can lift was for me, as much as I sort of poo-pooed the idea of a CFT when they started implementing it, like as an Amtracker, like that's a fucking big deal, like being able to lift an ammo can up and do it multiple times, wearing your gear and all these things. So
and an anaerobic threshold test like the 800. It's
with
don't get me wrong. Just about every year when I'm running it, I'm just like, God, this event. But if you look at it on paper, like it's the CFT is 3 back-to-back anaerobic events with a prescribed 5-minute rest period.
Yeah, I mean the body drag with then a fireman's carry. That's fucking gnarly stuff.
And it's certainly over my career and your career and my career overlap quite a bit. I mean, the Marine Corps definitely shifted towards the functional fitness thing. For me, it was, and especially when I was teaching a captain's career course at Fort Sill in my first time with Training Command, my journey to coaching and being very, very interested myself, and it was paved with a number of injuries that Navy medicine or Army medicine and a lot of things couldn't really solve, and I would go to sort of the medic side and okay, hey, what's going on here and this, that, and the other. And it wasn't until I found, started looking back and thinking through, like, I was injured in college, this, that, and the other, but it didn't ever seem this long. And what I didn't really realize is because college athletics, you're paired with college strength coaches, and so started seeking out those coaching individuals, and this is when CrossFit ruled the world, right? This is the teens, and for a time period, I mean, everybody was doing CrossFit, and everybody was doing very, very immature CrossFit.
Yes.
Nobody had, I mean, unless you went to the rare level 1 back in the teens, you saw what the workouts kind of were. You made up your own variation of it.
Well, they were certifying people like over a weekend or some shit for some of that
still
stuff.
do. Level 1's still a 48-hour course with a significant amount of sort of read-ahead material. So I am a CrossFit coach, so just, hey, it can be done. It can be done over a weekend. It's
okay, all right,
weekend.
fair enough.
So my journey through coaching and everything else was I was very much on the CrossFit wave, and prior to that, I was the guy who would run 21 to 30 miles a week, and I very vividly remember was on a run with my buddy Nick Whitefield, and he was an avid CrossFitter and everything else. We went for a run, and it was one of those buddy runs where you're not entirely sure which one of you is actually setting the pace, and so you're both sprinting for a very, very long period of time. And I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, what is going on? Like, I run a ton. I'm a very good runner at this point, and yet this guy who does runs once a week or so is keeping up, and I was like, And so he invited me to a workout, and I remember it just absolutely crushed me. I think my first workout that was a workout called 3 Bars of Death. Aptly named. It was terrible. It was embarrassing. But from that point, I was hooked. And one of the things one of the really great benefits of I think those who are trying to get better at a sport like CrossFit, which is sport of fitness, no plug for them, but if you really want to get good at it, there's hundreds of movements that you really need to study what the technique is, what the sequence of movement is, and everything else. So, U.S. Army, when I was at Command General Staff College, actually paid for my level 1. You paid it back by coaching in a gym that they have there on base on Leavenworth called Iron Major CrossFit. And sort of the love, and you fall in and out of love with a sport like CrossFit, and I was on the sort of the tail end of like, okay, this isn't that much fun anymore. Like, it's just a lot of very high intensity, very immature workouts with the level 1, and I was like, oh, there's actually a methodology to this, and if you take the time and you write it out and you pair with somebody who actually knows what the hell they're talking about, like, this methodology can be used for a great deal of things, and so, to the point of, CrossFit loves to use the word functional and functional fitness, and functional means multi-joint, especially in terms of the CrossFit space. It's not what Kelsie's talking about, where you take a look at the physical demands of what a Marine's job is, as an artilleryman, as a tanker, as an infantryman, as an aviation mechanic, whatever these jobs are. That's not what at least a lot of the civilian fitness worlds are talking about when they say functional. They mean multi-joint, so Kelsie was talking about sort of the same realization I came to, is that functional can mean a great number of different things. And as I started dealing with a number of sort of overuse injuries and just getting older in the Marine Corps, I found that through varying the types of workouts that I did, swimming, biking, high intensity interval training for 20 minutes kind of things, I could run once or twice a week and still maintain sort of that 21 minute, roundabout time on the PFT, and not beat my body up so much. And so, that was sort of how I came into the functional fitness space. Kelsie and I have coached a number of track workouts since we both lived here in Virginia, and a lot of those things, and I found a very sort of interesting niche group where we were training people for the CFT. We would get out on the track on Wednesday mornings, and we would work with a lot of different Marines on a completely voluntary basis. And one of the things that I noticed is, and this is where sort of a partnership with Kelsie, or just one thing that I want Marines to know more and more about, is the experts that are at the SimpliFit facilities. And so I found that a lot of the Marines were showing up to the sprint workouts and sort of the track workouts to get ready for the CFT were female Marines. And so you'd talk to them and you'd see how the workout went, and you'd run alongside them, and they have these very specific personalized paces they have to hit for the workout. And, I'd ask them, all right, hey, how's it feeling? Give me some feedback here. And they're just like, I don't feel like I can run fast enough to do it. I can't hit these times again and again, and I don't feel like I can move fast enough. And so, it's one of those slightly awkward questions, but you ask them, you're like, hey, did you grow up in a weight room? Did you play sports in high school, and this, that, and the other? And a lot of the female Marines that would come out would say no. And they'd be like, okay, well, first and foremost, like, we need to build sort of a base, and we need to build a balance. And so, a direct pipeline from a lot of those workouts to Kelsie and her programming there. And a lot of those Marines wrote me back and were like, hey, recent PR, or hey, really appreciate it. I was able to get a first class for the first time in a very long time, kind of thing. And no matter how good of a coach someone is, or good at coaching, they need someone who can help them through it and ask those questions. And everybody needs a mentor, no matter what they're doing. And so, despite however many Marines I'll coach on the side, or for pull-ups or running, or a lot of different things, I very much bounce a ton of ideas off of Kelsie. I very much consider her my coach, and it's one of those things that mentor-mentee relationship, especially cultivated in the Marine Corps. I mean, every unit, everything should have a strength coach that they can rely on, and can partner with those units' FFIs to ensure that they have that right balance. I mean, the FFIs and the FFI program that's on the other side of Quantico is a great program. Those Marines come out very well educated, but they're not Kelsie Meade, right? They don't have a master's in education in exercise science. and have 10 years of specified coaching, and that's really the seam that we really want to sew together is the Marines, the coaches from Semper Fit all across the Marine Corps, and training commands on spread out across the entire DoD. We're on a lot of joint bases, and Kelsie mentioned a lot of her friends who are in other services. I mean, the DoD has very much switched to it. I don't know, 15 years ago, talking about the health of the total force. And more so than I mean, remember the workups before the CFT would come out, right? Like your PFT, you ran a PFT twice a year, so we were all in very good. We could do pull-ups, we could do crunches, and we could run 3 miles. Which, don't get me wrong, the 3 mile test is a phenomenal test. I hope the Marine Corps never goes away from the 3 mile test, because that's that max sustainable 3 mile aerobic threshold, right? That's not threshold. That would be a VO2. That is that max sustainable aerobic pace that you can maintain. It's a phenomenal test, right? It's not the Army's VO2 max Cooper test where they run 12 minutes and 2 miles. This
Yeah,
and the other. I'm not
exactly.
talking about the mile and a half. Bygones. So an aside there, but we'd get into the PTP cycle, and suddenly your PFT score was relevant, and you start hiking. And I mean, I was an artilleryman, you were a tracker, but suddenly, like, you're carrying the body armor that we were carrying, and the side snappies, and you're now carrying 60 to 70 pounds. And then if you're a radio man in water, and
you get the Thor,
et cetera,
counter IED system,
the man-packable jamming device that I'm sure was totally healthy to carry. Nothing like high frequency radio waves. And we really had to switch to that, and suddenly, at least in a lot of my experience as a young officer, it was that slightly heavier, more muscular Marine who, would struggle to get that 240 or 250 on the PFT just because a 3 mile run is not what he is built to do. Who suddenly is taking on that extra weight on the hikes, who's going longer and harder in the long extended field ops and workups and everything else, because that's what he's meant to do. Some guys are just pack mules.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I have no scientific research or any rigor to prove this, but I would assume that the trials and tribulations of sort of fitness that we saw and repeated Iraq deployments, Iraq, and then when Afghanistan and Iraq were both a deployment cycle, I mean, the rest was crazy.
Yeah. You got a 96 before you start working up again. Yeah.
Welcome home, boys. You go to ITX and or it wasn't even ITX then.
It was Mojave Viper
Mojave
back then.
Viper. Yeah. You're going back to that in April. Like, it's January. Like, welcome back. I think that had to have something to do with it.
Yeah.
Well, so let's shift gears a little bit and talk specifically about the Fittest Instructor.
Right, and that was going to,
position.
because I thought that was a good segue.
Yeah.
As we're talking about meeting these instructors and embedding them, this Fittest Instructor competition, I think it's more than just sort of a way to, like, hoist the trophy, right? Like, this is something that is going to hopefully attract more folks and bring more visibility to what it is you guys are talking about, right?
So, yeah, exactly. So Fittest Instructor is a lot of things. We were not so clairvoyant the first time we put this together to know what it would be, even just by its third year. So started a number of years ago, even before I came to training command, and it was coming out of COVID, and we were at 11th Marines, and we were really trying to re-energize the Marines into fitness and get them really excited. And one of the things that I've always felt is that, if Marines are squatting correctly, and for that aesthetic that Kelsie was talking about, if their quads are getting bigger and their jeans are now tighter in the thigh, not the waist, no Marines like, man, I'm just seeing so many results. I got to back this off, right? So. We tried to put together a very big, large health expo at 11th Marines, and this was that false fall of COVID, right? The world thought we were coming out of it, and then we went right back in. And so the health expo fell off, but we were able to get a man named Chris Henschel and his wife Heidi out to 11th Marines, and he is one of the most recognizable aerobic endurance coaches in the world. He came out and taught all of 11th Marines FFI is what he does, which is just this mastery of aerobic capacity and how to build it and how to breathe. Something so simple as like when you're running, how do you breathe? What do you mean, how do I breathe?
Like this.
What's your breathing pace? Well, I start off very calm, and then by the end, I'm dying. What do you mean?
Is that wrong?
Yeah. No, not at all. It's time tested. And so that went off very, very well. Chris and I stayed in touch. And so when I got here to Training Command, General Sullivan took over, and he asked 3 questions, not even in the same meeting. But the 3 questions he asked was, how do we prepare all of our instructors to teach everything that they'll be teaching? And then that harkens back to my time as an instructor where, especially at Captain's Career Course, like the instructors weren't putting any attention, effort, or design into what the morning PT was. And so, all right, hey guys, what if we took morning PT as serious as we take class with like a design and a process and everything else? And it was just, light bulb going on. Second one was, how do we do something? How do we recruit for Training Command? The formal school instructor is, very much part of the street to fleet process where we get Marines, obviously off the street through the recruiter, boot camp, and then formal schools. But it's the lesser known aspect of it, right? You have the Marine recruiter, and recruiting command is incredibly hard on all the Marines who have ever done it. You have the classic Marine Corps drill instructor. And then at that point, like I think most of society would think that's where the training stops. And chances are, especially depending on what your MOS is, you're not even halfway there. And then you get into the Marine combat instructors at the schools of infantry, and then the formal school managers who are out there. So how do we recruit Marines to that second half of the pipeline, which the Marine Corps has the HIST program, which ensures high quality Marines go to recruiting and drill instructor. And then Training Command is constantly fighting for the same incredibly high quality Marines to be formal school instructors. So how do we recruit Marines to that? And then the third question, which was just in a completely different meeting, is how do we do something to improve the physical fitness of not just our instructors but all of our students? And so to me, this really, really crazy idea came into my head of, why don't we put together a multi-day competition and bring in some of the best strength and conditioning coaches we can find. We'll bring in Chris, we'll bring in like commercial, we'll bring in Semper Fit, we'll bring in Marine instructors for a select group of individuals. And how do we do this? How do we re-energize the inspiration? How do we re-energize people who want to get out and take morning PT that's serious? And so also, how do we give back, right? How do we do something that's really, really cool for the instructors? And I, the very casual language on purpose there. When I was briefing General Sullivan initially, he used the same thing, and I was like, I want to do something cool for the instructors. I want to give back, and General Sullivan sort of bought off. So it's what it is now is going into its 3rd year. It's 6 days of competitions designed to test Marine instructors' fitness across a multitude of domains. So we have short, we have heavy, we have long, we have mid-range, against known and unknown aspects of those workouts. So the competition is the billboard. It's up in lights. It's the fun part. And the unknown and known aspects we think are absolutely critical because through the workup cycle or through combat, we want to mimic that through competition. So, when you're in combat or you're in the workup cycle, there are known and unknown aspects to combat and known and unknown aspects to the job you're going to have to perform in combat, right? We call those TNR stages. What's not known on the battlefield is the duration and the intensity that you will have to perform those TNR tasks. And so the competition is where we really, really think at its basis level that the Marines who come through this competition, or we've had several that have gone back to their schools and programmed smaller competitions at the school level, if we can learn to compete on the PT field, learn to compete on the PT field, then we can dominate on the battlefield of tomorrow. And so it's that baseline competition. So year one, we had an incredible competitor. He was strong as an ox. He front squatted something like 450 3 times in like event 2. One of the strongest human beings I've ever actually had sort of the pleasure of coaching and working with. Finished dead last in the swim, which was event 3, so that was fun.
A lot of muscle density there.
And he had a really, really great line at the end of it. And it was very much one of those aha moments for I think a lot of us. In just how powerful the competition was. And he had trained and he had really good PT scores and PFT, CFT he could do. But it was the cross-functional aspect of the competition that, he said at the end, he was like, I've always valued strength over everything else. And I found out this week that potentially being the strongest instructor does not mean being the fittest instructor.
Wow.
And the aspect of the competition, he was now going up against peer adversaries in a fitness competition. He had to put his training methodologies and his TTPs that he uses for fitness against his peers. And so that's why, training command, we're very, very keen and excited about the competition that we use to train Marines what it potentially is going to be on the battlefield, right? MACT-FTC and what ITX has become with the force on force, it takes it to a whole nother level. But at home station, at the schools, at the NCO level, we want to teach them what PT competition can truly do for you. You're not going to push as hard just PTing on your own. You're not going to push as hard out there. But I'm now competing against the person to the left and to the right of me for it, and that drives at the higher level of training.
Well, I thought it interesting that you mentioned, it all starts with morning PT. And I remember that it was sort of, we would do the thing where like, hey, a junior NCO takes it on Monday, some, stud platoon sergeant takes it midweek. And then if we had a good week, I'll take it. We'll do something fun. If you guys fucked off, well, you get the first sergeant on Friday, and he's going to run you till you shit buttermilk. Yeah. And so.
And that in so many ways, and I remember being there as a company commander, company grade officer as well. It taught so many Marines to hate PT.
Well, but it also taught a really poor methodology because the idea was, hey, if you want to be fit, I'm just going to run you till you bleed, right? And so I guess for you then, and I guess going back then and what this competition means for you and how you incorporate into this is that this idea that like, and it used to be like, if I wanted to do something that multi-disciplined and cross-disciplined and functional fitness, it was almost seen as like, I'm going to take my Marines to a class. Like, you're gonna, like, I thought you were PTing. You're going to take them to a class. But I mean, that's the mentality that needs to shift, right? Yeah. And so how are you then on your side working into this competition, and like, what are you trying to encourage through it?
So I'll give a plug for Kelsie because she won. Part 2 of Fittest Instructor is the nearly 50 hours of education that we provide. So if you remember the scene in Top Gun 1, they all
the real Top Gun.
When they were playing.
You didn't like Top Gun 2?
No.
Whoa. Okay.
I did not.
Different podcast.
Wait, was this the part where they're playing volleyball in jeans?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's.
We all love that anyway.
We do that. I mean, we do that. That's one of the events this year. So Commander Mike Metcalf, the CEO.
They're in the classroom.
The CEO of Top Gun, which the fact that in the movie he's only a commander, like
Tom Skerritt. Tom Skerritt. Yeah.
I challenged that straight away. He would have at least been a captain, if not a rear admiral. Comes in and he says, hey, you were the elite, the best of the best, the top 1% of all naval.
Now look around you. Yeah.
But then he says, we'll make you better. And that's part two of Fittest Instructors. We're blessed to have Kelsie here in Quantico, but we bring in Darren Peterson and Lacey from SY East, and we bring in Nick from headquarters Semper Fit. We bring in some of the best coaches that we can. We have dietitians.
Oh,
we have
awesome.
That's huge.
athletic trainers. We have what I would say probably the most collective and diverse group of professional coaches this side of Ohio State. As twofold. One, I wanted to bring in the best instructors that I could find. Two was the best way that I've ever found to inspire Marines to be better and to continue to go and seek out coaches and think everything out is bring in the inspired.
Mm-hmm.
And so to hear, and I'll shut up here in just a second, but if you get the pleasure to sort of coach alongside Kelsie and work with her and listen to her talk about different sort of methodologies that can be used to do X, Y, and Z, you can't help but, all right, well, I want to try that now. Like, let's go do that.
And
So
so if we're sticking with the Top Gun references, then you would be the Charlie, the Kelly McGill's
am
character
Charlie.
from Top Gun. She is a civilian.
ma'am,
you
I
do not
am.
salute
Okay.
her. So,
Yeah, do not salute me, no.
I mean,
I
you
love
started
that so
it.
much.
No,
That's so
I-
You
great.
started it.
That's
so.
my favorite movie.
I've used the Top Gun reference a lot, and I've never made the connection to Charlie, but you're both blonde.
That's what you get when you're here. That's what you get on the Scuttlebutt podcast.
Oh, I'm in.
So,
Let's get it.
So, to that, I think what he said, what we want is for the Marines to take away knowledge that they can use, right? Yes, me coaching them like directly, if I can help them directly with their physical fitness, and help them kind of get an edge in the competitions throughout the week, then that's wonderful. But they're going to go instruct Marines. So we want to give them the knowledge to be able to do things better than when they showed up.
So it sounds like it's a mix of competition, but also classes.
There's a lot of educational aspects to it. Yes.
That's cool.
And the competitive events mirror and explore what we've taught them.
Yes.
Okay.
They are built as really practical applications, but again, they're competitive practical applications. So we get that additional kick out of the Marines. The education plan at Fittest Instructor is first and foremost is paramount. And the workouts are built through a series of, okay, hey, what are we going to teach? How do we teach them this, that, and the other? And then what are the workouts? So the workouts all are based on the seven. I'm totally blanking. Foundational movements. Thank you.
That's why she's here.
That's why she's here. 7 foundational movements, as well as sort of short-term anaerobic and long-term aerobic workouts in the entire spectrum there. And one of the cool things that I personally think we do different than other High Rocks or CrossFit or these other events there is we have standards that we can sort of play with and manipulate. For example, if we were going to do a pull-up workout, and Kelsie and I are both competitors, it's not a matter of if I can do more pull-ups than Kelsie, then I win. Since it's a Marine Corps competition and a military competition, I can then compare the amount of pull-ups that I can do to the PFT, the PFT score chart. So, 41-year-old male can compete against a 21-year-old female on a level playing field, because if the 21-year-old female does 17 pull-ups and the 41-year-old male does 35, we now have to go into the score chart and see who outperformed the Marine Corps' established standards of performance and scoring. And so we had Captain Hannah Montague the first year, and for a lot of the events, the first 4 days, she was in the top 3. Not only was she winning a lot of the workouts just flat out, especially once you took a look at sort of the scoring norm aspect that we go to, she was dominating. And based on one of the questions that I get a lot as I brief sort of this event up and this, then the other, is do we have a female category? Is it males against males and females against females? And no, we don't, because that's also not how Marine Corps units are anymore. But 2, by having a relative force value that we're evaluating makes it so we can directly compete against the event and not against one another. So we can get into it later. But one of the events this year, and I won't get into any more detail than this, is we're going to measure the individual's VO2 max. And the individual's VO2 max is very different based on size, speed, and weight.
Their genetic
So
makeup and all that, yeah.
and so by using that level of sort of that next level of, okay, what are we actually evaluating here, and how does that tie into the education? We can have Marines directly compete against each other across sex and age.
Well, so that brings me to my next question. Who are your competitors? Where do you get them? How many are there? Where are they coming from? Do you hand select competitors? How does all that work?
So it is part of the naming convention and sort of the start of it. This does, you do have to be a Marine instructor to compete in this event. Primarily, the competitors come from the training command subordinate commands. So
Okay.
we have 17 major subordinate elements within training command. So 17 commanding officer colonels within it. Each one of those colonels gets to nominate one of their instructors to compete. In the last year and this year, we've expanded the pool. Last year, we invited the MCRDs and MACT-FTC. This year, we've invited 1, 2, and 3 MEF, the MCRDs, MACT-FTC. We are trying to get to 25 competitors. The tagline this year is the Fittest 25. 250 years of the Marine Corps,
Nice, yeah.
2025, 25 competitors.
Delicious.
It all it fit very, very neatly
Nice,
to try
yeah.
and get that. So for the FMF competitors or drill instructors and things like that, if you have an 09XX MOS, please talk to your chain of command. Reach out to me. I can CC me on the email, whatever it is. We are hoping to get MCRD San Diego, Paris Island, MACT-FTC, EdCom 1, 2, 3 MEF. 8th and I is 100% in. I believe they're going to send a body bearer,
Oh, okay.
and those lads are incredibly strong. So that's going to be a
Yeah,
lot of
they
fun
are.
to watch.
And then
And-
you've got security guard school, OCS.
So OCS is still training command, so they
Yeah.
already get one of those.
Yeah.
OCS
Oh, that's the
TS.
one. Okay.
Yeah. And so we are trying to get to find the top 25 fittest instructors across the Marine Corps. The FMF competitors do have to be a force fitness instructor at their unit. That is the one stipulation we gave the FMF. We're hoping that the FMFs are just as excited, or the FMF, there's only one of those. We're hoping they're just as excited about it as we are.
And can spectators come and watch this?
It's absolutely. So
It's here at Quantico.
It's here at Quantico. So we're going to have events, and all of this will be published on the Training Command Instagram, as well as Marine Corps Base Quantico's Facebook. But we have events on the track. We have events on the football field in front of Lejeune Hall, TBS pool. That one might be hard to watch. The Weapons Training Battalion Range Complex, National Museum of the Marine Corps.
Oh, cool.
And this year we're finalizing. We are trying to do the final event at the Marine Corps War Memorial on 29 April, in which for about 3 hours the 25 competitors and the dozen coaches that I have are all going to be coaching. It'll be open to the public the morning of the 29th for about 3 hours, in which we're going to do the Travis Manion Memorial Work Hunt. So 29 April holds sort of a sacred day for the Manion family. Travis Manion killed in action on 29 April. So one of the things that we really, really want to tie in with the Marines as well, and it ties into the Marine Corps Total Fitness construct and everything the Marine Corps is doing there, is, even if you when you do go to war and you do pay the ultimate sacrifice, the Marine Corps will not forget who you are. And so while 29 April and the Manion WOD fit very, very well together as a memorial workout for the end of the competition, like all memorial workouts or all hero WODs in the CrossFit world, you're honoring the individual that workout is named after, but at the
Right.
same time, you're honoring all veterans who have ever gone and paid that ultimate sacrifice. And so,
Yeah.
Very, very personal event for a lot of people. So we're hoping to get a lot of people out to the War Memorial. If it's not at the War Memorial, that same workout, the same construct, everything, we'll move it to the National Museum of the Marine Corps, and we'll do it right up front, like we did. We did a workout in front of there last year. It was very picturesque. Blue clouds,
Nice.
or blue clouds, blue
Blue
skies.
skies.
Oh, the blue clouds. What a
Blue
day.
clouds. Wow, weird. It worked very, very well. It was very picturesque.
And then everybody can head on up to the Walter E. Washington Convention Center for the first day of Modern Day Marine.
Absolutely, and so that
Shameless
is
Nicely done.
that is
That's why she's a professional.
Yeah.
that is something that we want to intentionally tie in the future, which would be the end of Fittest Instructor and the start of Modern Day Marine going forward. And the two events tied together in perpetuity is something that we didn't anticipate, but it is
I love that
such a
idea.
win.
I
Yeah,
love
it's really
that
cool.
idea.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
And we'll be publishing, another shameless plug, we're going to be publishing information in Leatherneck Magazine. So we've already got something going in the March issue, and keep us updated.
Yeah,
on
definitely
all
keep
of
us
that.
posted. Yeah, especially to get closer to Modern Day Marine as well. So awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in and learning us something today. Yeah.
Do you want to know what the announced events are?
Yes.
Oh, I thought that was all on the deal. No, this is a
No,
thing.
no.
Okay,
so
cool.
we announce a majority of the events ahead of time because those are the known aspects.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
we
Oh yeah,
allow-
you mentioned the duration and
There are
the
some
intensity.
events that are not.
Okay.
we
that are not advertised.
we don't announce
so
all
they
the
can't
events.
train specifically for
Mhm.
those things. Oh, that's cool.
We don't announce all the events. Even the events that we do announce, some of those we don't announce all the details.
Okay.
I've already said there's going to be a VO2 max test. It's all the detail I'm going to give on that one. And if they're listening to this podcast, they will be the only ones to hear that.
Okay.
That one, even that detail isn't published anywhere else. So event one is going to be at the National Museum of the Marine Corps, 24 April in the morning. This is a repeat event. We have a lot of themes in a lot of the workouts. This one is called 22 a day. And before the event, we talk about sort of suicide awareness and making sure that Marines, not only take care of each other, but take care of themselves. And so the Marines will execute 22 thrusters. They're going to strip the bar of collar, bumper plate, everything else, and then have to shuttle run each piece one at a time, about 150, 160 meters away. So it ends up being a 1 mile run, reassemble the bar, and then conduct 22 more thrusters.
Oh wow.
And then you have to sprint back. So that's event one. This is a repeat workout. We ended last year's competition with this. About 8 minutes for the fastest competitor, and that guy was just a pile on the floor afterwards. So that one was really good. We always have a swim event. Event 2 is our swim event this year. It is 4 rounds for time. It's a 100-meter swim of any stroke that you want. You then grab a brick off of the pool side, and you have to swim the brick 25 meters across, and then repeat that process 4 times. Grand total of 500-meter swim. Here's the kicker: if the brick goes underwater, you're out.
Oh my gosh.
So the transition from what's going to be the crawl stroke, freestyle stroke, to the side stroke under fatigue, it is going to really, really challenge a lot of competitors, and there's no faking the pool. You can fake a lot of other things. You cannot fake the pool. And being soldiers of the sea, swimming is one of those
Kind of a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably should be one of those things we're all very, very good at. Event 3 doesn't get any more marine than this. It is a biathlon event. During COVID, I fell in love with biathlon because it was the only sport that was on. So running and shooting a gun, obviously, actual biathlon is skiing.
Skiing, yeah. Cross-country skiing.
And so this year, so we'll be doing the 1 mile loop, and then you shoot at 5 targets. every target you miss, that is a penalty lap, just like classic biathlon. Kelsie and her job with shooting team, that they have continued to refine this workout every year, time over time. And this is one where we get into sort of the relative scoring margin. So it's not raw time that wins this event. We take your time that it took you to run 2 miles, as well as whatever penalty loops, and as well as engage 15 total targets, and we directly compare that to your age group PFT time. Your age group PFT time generates 88, 99, 97 points, 30 points, etc. And then that is sort of the value that you take into the scoring round. Whoever scores first, there we go. There are a myriad of tie-breaking events. Event 4. This one is 3 minutes, so this one is that anaerobic threshold workout. It's a 100-yard Zercher carry. You guys listening at home can look up what a Zercher carry is, but it's at 50% of the individual's body weight. So everyone has to carry 50% of their body weight, 100 yards all the way down the field. And then we have the log bar clean and jerk, very strongman-esque. It's big oak bar. We've never had this implemented.
I've never done it, no.
So log bar clean and jerk. The number of reps times the weight on the bar equals their raw score. We'll then divide that by, we'll use something called the Wilks coefficient, which is used in non-weight class weightlifting events.
Okay.
It divides a number of variables into it. Basically, it's a strength to weight ratio. So it's not just Mongo lifts the bar, but it's how much weight did Mongo lift the bar in comparison to his own body weight.
And are you going to be trying all of these things? You're going to do a dry run of all of these things?
Oh,
just to
he does all of these things.
Yeah, for 3 years now, I've tested a wide number of variables of all of these workouts.
Very cool.
These are every now and then I grab a couple other unwilling or willing participants. This year we have tested a number of workouts on previous competitors, so we have a growing group chat of all the previous competitors, and for OPSEC reasons, I don't give them the entire workout, but I'll have them test aspects of it, because most of them still teach at the school as part of it. One thing I didn't mention, there are no repeat competitors at Fittest Instructor. We're very much trying to grow a cult of fitness enthusiasts. You don't grow a cult by continuing to convert the same person.
Good. Let me make a note of that so I can tuck that away for later.
Poison Kool-Aid also hurts your ability to grow a cult.
It does. It really dwindles the numbers.
Event 5, especially for the Quantico region, is going to be very, very cool. This is a mystery event, but it is going to be Saturday morning, starting at about 10:30 at the Lejeune Hall field. This is at the end of Quantico's epic bike ride. So Quantico, MCCS Quantico has a mountain bike trail ride.
Okay.
That is, we're going to be using the same parking lot. We're going to be using that. So if you are on base to either conduct or at least cheer on a loved one doing the epic bike ride, we're going to be co-located at the end of that bike ride. You are more than willing, able to stick around to cheer on the Marines, and then afterwards, if you wanna give the workout a go, we're more than happy to stick around and let everybody kind of do that workout. Now, if you've just done the epic trail bike ride,
probably not.
Probably don't recommend.
Probably not the best. But that
I
night,
wouldn't recommend it.
Saturday
it's not a
night,
cool down workout.
No,
Saturday night is the first time we'll have done an under the lights workout. So we'll be on the track. No other details other than the title of it, which is the Survivor Series beep test. So if you remember in middle school, the beep test, the very beep.
Oh yeah.
Beep. That was the muse for this workout. Event 7 is on the 28th. We're doing the U.S. Army Combat Fitness Test. So if you're not aware, the U.S. Army Combat Fitness Test is 6 total events. Starts with a 3-rep max deadlift, has a weighted shuttle run where you have to carry, you have to drag, you have to sprint. It has the standing ball throw, which I don't know why, but it does. Hand release push-ups, and planking as well nowadays. And then it ends with a 2-mile run. So competitors will be directly competing against the U.S. Army's combat fitness test standard. In the past,
is interesting.
And we try to do this. We either try to take a spin on a Marine Corps test or do another services test. The first year, we did the no break CFT, which is exactly what it sounds like, where we had the competitors conduct the CFT
after another
with no prescribed break. And we went into it very naively. I think, Kelsie, we were like, oh, okay, we'll just see who scores this much over, faster than the CFT scoring standard. And wow, the break, no break is a very different test. And that's where, we saw, we standardized the carry with a very heavy sandbag. It was 100 or 150 pounds, depending on your weight. And you saw some incredibly strong athletes really, really struggle to get that sandbag onto their shoulder for the drag, because as we all know in the CFT, right, like you're not picking up a completely lifeless human. The individual has at least even a skeleton, which helps. So 150 pound sandbag is far heavier than a 150 pound human, because the skeleton alone helps carry.
I'm learning so much today.
Structure. Event 8 and 9 are unannounced, and will remain that way until about 10 minutes prior to the event. And then I talked about event 10, which is going to be the Mannion Memorial Workout.
Very cool.
Hopefully the War Memorial. We can get everyone up to DC, and then we'll have the podium ceremony there as well. So
that's fantastic.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Marine Quantico Band is going to be there playing for us. So it's going to be great. I've offered them they can come up and play a concert the entire time, and then obviously the ceremonial music at the very end. But Fittest Instructor continues to grow, and we continue to find sort of that intrinsic value. And one of the biggest ones that really, really want to stress is fitness is a skill that has to be taught and practiced and maintained. And
maintained is big. Yeah,
and it's the Marines, it's the gurus in the unit, it's the FFIs in the unit, and very, very importantly, I can't stress this enough. It's finding those coaches like Kelsie who are on base and who can come out to your unit and at a minimum give you an assessment of what your plan is and give you some rudder steers, if not start programming for your unit and what you're doing, and so that way you can be good at both the PFT, the CFT, your job, healthy. Kelsie's connected a lot of the Marines here with the dietitian and making sure that the dietitians here can steer Marines through the chow hall line, because most Marines are eating in the chow hall, or they're spending their own money in buying what's readily available. And teaching Marines how to navigate that nutritional aspect is absolutely key. And then part of where the Marine Corps really wants to go with the entire Marine Corps total fitness aspect, from what I understand from reading it, is it's that sinew from the mental health, the physical, the resilience, the strength coach, and
absolutely.
It's tying all that together. And where do most Marines probably talk about things that they're really struggling with? While working out. And so tying in all of those aspects from that MCCS and the Naval Hospital have, and making sure that there's no wrong door that you can knock on.
Love it.
Well, guys, really appreciate you guys being so generous with your time and coming in to talk. And this is a challenge too, as we look. I mean, because obviously the force that we have, we're pulling from the civilian population, and all the data is showing that health, mental and physical, is just on the steep decline. And so to have this focus that you guys are shooting towards, I think is really good, because we've got to figure out a way to turn people who maybe have never thought about fitness or have really poor habits in their fitness? I mean, obviously boot camp is that sort of trial by fire, but how then do you make a professional force think professionally about readiness?
And so how do
Yeah.
you get people excited about it? And
Yeah.
how do you get people truly critically thinking about the fitness and about aspects of that? And
Instead of looking at exercise like a chore or a punishment.
Yeah, because they're not coming to us already with a strong foundation in fitness. I mean,
and 100% yes. But if we take a look at sort of the very job specific applications, right? The fitness demands of an 0811 Cannoneer on the 777 are very, very different than even the fitness demands of
your cryptological
or of an infantryman
Yeah.
or of these aspects. And, Cannoneers, rounds weigh 100 pounds. So, they need to be carrying odd objects, very, very heavy odd objects. They need to be doing a lot of deadlifting. They need to be doing a lot of anaerobic work. Whereas, the infantrymen, those are very long hikes with intermittent bits of anaerobic fitness, the cryptological engineer. Plus, the PFT and CFT are what we use to calculate promotion scores.
Right.
So there's no getting away from those.
Right.
Like those are used for Marines promotions and everything else. And so it's experts like Kelsie and Nick and Darren and Lacey and all those people that we have in the Marine Corps who truly know what they're talking about. Go seek out that individual. Go get coached. I don't care how good you are. I don't care how physically fit you are. Go get coached. Right?
Yeah.
Go do somebody else's programming for a little bit and see what it can do for you. And I guarantee you'll see improvement.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, you absolutely will. And if not, okay, you're probably still as fit as you were.
With the journeys in the path, right? Like you can't be any worse than when you started. If you start,
exactly.
Right.
And it's, I've rarely seen any Marines, and Kelsie, tell me if you have as well, rarely seen Marines who are taught how to do these foundational movements and then can apply those to their workouts and the workouts that the Marines are doing, who aren't like, wow, that is very, very different. And if you do it long enough, you're like, oh my gosh, this works. And I see a change in myself and, higher energy and health and et cetera. And, like when we all roll our sleeves up, like, wow, my sleeves fit a lot tighter now. That's awesome. Key point, you want, big arms. The tricep is a much bigger muscle group than the bicep. So don't forget your kickbacks. You gotta hit that tricep if you want really big arms.
You heard it here
Glamour
first.
muscles are still important.
A lot of breakthroughs here today.
Yeah.
Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming in. We'll get these links and stuff up in the show description when we go to publish. But yeah, we're really excited to see how this plays out. This will be a lot of fun.
Thank you.
23
Thanks for having us.
29 April 2005 on Quantico. So
Very cool.
Yeah, and looking forward to the Leatherneck article
That's right.
coming
if
out in
you're a
March.
Marine instructor with an 09XX MOS, you are eligible. Please contact your chain of command. The screening process is rigorous. There are some commands like SY East who hold their own preliminary competition. There are others who take a look at the events and they know who their Marine is straight away. It has been very interesting in both years. We've had three very, very different categories of people who compete, and Kelsie can back me up on this. You have your first category, which are Marines who are very in shape. They show up and they realize that, wow, compared to their peers, and they very quickly shift to, I'm going to learn as much as I can. They're human beings. They know they're not competing for the title, and then there we go. There is a very small collection of Marine athletes who are not only in the top 5, all have fit into this category. Incredibly humble, incredibly honest, incredibly open to being coached, to coaching, to how do I do this better. But they're also phenomenal athletes and incredibly strong and across domain. There's that middle group, however, that really, really hits a lot of sort of Marine cliches that are in very good shape, but they don't want to listen. They're not. They don't think the education plan has anything to do with them. They think they know what they're talking about. A lot of them both years have talked about it, and it's hilarious to watch, and Kelsie and I laugh about it at least both years. they'll talk about like, hey, you guys want to go catch another workout? Like, I don't feel that tired. And it's like day 2, and it's like, okay, stud. Like,
Probably will though.
like, have fun, man. They're the guys who aren't going to the voluntary sort of classes that Chris Henchow will hold at the track, things like that. They're closed off. They're closed-minded. They're only there to compete, and they
Don't tend to do so well.
sort of the learning. Some of the learning objectives are actually hit the hardest with that group, because they come out of it in that competition aspect. They're like, I'm not as fit as I thought I was. I do need to find a coach, and I do need to get better because I want to be that top tier of athletes, and that's one of those that's one of those things you can only learn through competition.
That's awesome. I love
that's
that.
cool.
Very direct line to a lot of the after actions coming out of MAGTF-TC from ITX, where they'll describe what TTPs we thought would work in terms of this, and then you go into a force-on-force simulated exercise, and that doesn't work at all. Like, we really have to rethink how we employ this tactic. So definitely some learning aspects that can only be learned through competition.
Great. That's awesome. Well, again, thank you guys so much for coming in, and best of luck. Keep us closest. Yeah, and stay tuned for the Leatherneck article.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Marine Corps requires leaders of all ranks to have a deep understanding of war and the employment of force. MCDP 1 reminds Marines that the military profession is a thinking profession. Every Marine is expected to be a student of the art and science of war. It goes on to say that every Marine has an individual responsibility to study the profession of arms. Self-directed study in the art and science of war is at least equal in importance to maintaining physical condition and should receive at least equal time. The Marine Corps Association understands the critical importance of ensuring that Marines are as mentally ready for combat as they are physically ready. That is why we offer an entire page dedicated to wargaming on our website. We have recommendations for both tabletop board games as well as computer games. And for Marine Corps Association members, there is a discount code for War Game Design Studios that you can find on the website. War games are a great way to immerse yourself in history and to put yourself in the shoes of the great leaders of history. Go beyond guided instruction and experience the thrill of wargaming. Check us out at mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. That's mca-marines.org/decision-making-exercises/wargaming-2. Take your training to the next level. Scuttlebutt is a production of the Marine Corps Association. You have heard the voices or contributions from Major Vic Rubel, USMC retired, Nancy Lichman, William Truding, and our guest. Ty Frazier is the editor, sound engineer, and technical producer. The Marine Corps Association is not an agency of the U.S. government. The opinions expressed in this episode are the personal views of the participants and do not reflect the official position of the United States Marine Corps, the Department of Defense, or the Marine Corps Association.